While we use a system of inches, quarts, gallons, feet, almost the rest of the world uses the metric system. The metric system is based on base 10. So the length has different measurements. There's more than just millimeter, centimeter, meter, and kilometer. There's hectometer, decameter, decimeter. There's more. But the main ones are millimeter. So a millimeter is the thickness of a dime. So if you have a little coin, the dime, it's just very thin. A centimeter is the width of a marker. So if you have a marker, the width is about a centimeter. A meter is the distance from the doorknob to the floor. So this distance right here would be a meter. And then a kilometer is a little more than a half a mile. Capacity, or another way of saying this is volume, how much space something takes. A milliliter is 5 drops of water, so think of 5 tiny drops of water. And a liter is a little more than a quart of milk. Or if you think of a big 2-liter, a 2-liter thing of soda, it's half of it. That's a liter. A milligram is a speck of sawdust, so it's as tiny as that dot. A gram is how much a paperclip weighs. And then a kilogram is about half the mass of your textbook. So if you lift up your textbook, about half that is a kilogram. Okay, so down here, choose an appropriate unit. So first you have to think about, are we talking about length, how long something is? Are we talking about volume, how much space it takes up? Or are we talking about mass? If you lift it up, how much does it weigh? So the height of a classroom chalkboard, we're talking about a distance, so it's a length. So if we're going to measure this, are we going to measure this in millimeters, centimeters, meters, or kilometers? Well, millimeters are so tiny, and centimeters really are too. You could use meters. So the answer right here would be meters. Mass of backpacks filled with books. I wouldn't use a milligram because that's like how many specks of sawdust is it, or a gram, how many paper clips. We already know that a kilogram is half the mass of your textbook, so the best one would be a kilogram. And then C, the capacity or volume of a bird bath. So how many drops of water? There's tons of water. They're not tons, but there's a lot of water in a bird bath. So I would say liters would be the best because it's more than just drops. The length of a broom. The length is going to be millimeter, centimeter, meter, or kilometer. I would say meter is the best choice. Mass of a horse. If you picked up a horse, it'd be way more than a paperclip and more than a math textbook, so I would say kilogram is the best choice. And capacity of a car's gas tank. So the car's gas tank holds more than 5 drops of gas, a lot more. So I would go with liter as the best choice for these. The nice thing about the metric system is the basic unit would be the meter for length. It would be a gram for mass, or if you lift something up, how much does it weigh? And it would be a liter for the volume, the amount of space it takes up. So over here are smaller units. So 10 meters is equal to 1 decameter. So deca is the prefix. 10 decameters is equal to 1 hectometer. And 10 hectometers is equal to 1 kilometer. So these are the prefixes. So if you start at gram, then a decagram is 10 grams. A hectogram is 10 decagrams, so a hectogram is 100 grams. A kilogram is 1,000 grams. So I'm going to write these in. So a kilo is 1,000, hecto is 100, and deca is 10. So the one that I really want you to know is a kilo is 1,000. Now going the other way, not deca, but I should put deca, an A right here. Deci. So 10 decimeters is a meter. 100 centimeters is a meter. And 1,000 meters is a meter. Okay? So, if you think of it, a decimeter is 1/10 of a meter. A centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. And a millimeter is 1,000th of a meter. So if you have a meter stick going across, pretend this is 1 meter. Then 1/10 of it, this part right here, would be a decimeter. And 1/10 of that would be a centimeter. So there's 100 centimeters in a meter. And even smaller than that, 1/10 of that is 1 millimeter. So everything works in base 10 with the metric system. So now we're going to look at some of these conversions. So if you have 4.35 liters, that's what L stands for, liters. How many milliliters is this? So if you remember, milli is 1,000 milliliters equals 1 liter. So what you're going to do is, if it's 1,000, there's 3 zeros in it. Think about moving the decimal over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So I'll write it bigger so you can see it easier. So if I move the decimal over 3 times, it goes 1, 2, 3. There's a little spot here that I need to fill in with a 0. So the answer is 4,350 milliliters is the answer. Letter B, 914 centimeters is how many meters? Well, there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So if I have 914 centimeters, the decimal's right here. I need to move it. I don't want to make more centimeters to be a meter. I'm going to move it back 2 spots because there's 2 zeros in here. So I go 1, 2. So it's 9.14 meters is the answer. See how many milliliters? 35 milliliters is how many liters? So my decimal's right here, and there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So there's 3 zeros. So I don't want to make it the number bigger by saying 350 liters or 3,500 liters, because we know if we have 35 milliliters to start out with, that's not even 1 liter. So I'm going to make the number smaller and move it over 3 times. So if my decimal is right here, I move it over 1, 2, 3. So it's 0.035 liters. And then 250 kilograms, that is very heavy. So I want to make this number even bigger because there's 1,000 grams in a kilogram. 1,000 has 3 zeros. So if my decimal's right here, I'm going to move it over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So I'm basically adding 3 zeros. And then E, how many centimeters are in 60 meters? If I have 60 meters, there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So there's going to be more centimeters, so I'm going to go over twice. 1, 2. So it's 6,000 centimeters. 4.57 meters to how many centimeters? Well, there's 100 centimeters in a meter, so I know there's going to be more than 4.57 centimeters, so I'm going to move the decimal over twice because there's 2 zeros and 100. So the answer is 457 centimeters. And the last one, the ancient Incan city of Machu Picchu is located in the country of Peru. Its altitude, so here's Machu Picchu, it's like a mountains. It's a place in Peru. The altitude, the height, is 2,300 meters above sea level. What is Machu Picchu's altitude in kilometers? So we're just wanting to convert 2,300 meters to kilometers. So there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So if I already have 2,300 meters and there's 1,000, I'm going to move it back so it's 2.3 kilometers.